Oh, pull up in the German. Your crew look nervous.
And we are on just like that. Kia ora and welcome to this, the inaugural solo episode thingy-ma-bob for 2020. I'm just hitting record and going for it here. I fluffed around with this setup in the studio. If you are watching this, recording video for the first time in flipping forever on the podcast, so I'm battling with my eyes. Do I look at the camera? Do I stare into nothingness? So if I drift off or if I'm a bit all over the show, then that probably explains why. I'm just chilling here. It's a beautiful evening here in Christchurch. The weather's been stunning. She's been about 25 degrees. And I'm sipping on a little licorice tea. I better not, wait for it. She's about lukewarm, just how I like it. And I wanted to fill you in. Okay, so we've just released the first episode of Season 3. Let's call it the 2020 first episode with Jock. It was released today. It's a Thursday evening, and I'm like, hey, I said I was going to do some little solo side projects, and I was going to let's just call them like journals. I think I mentioned in the preview. So here's the official first one. As you can tell, she's a bit all over the show, but the goal with these was to pretty much set some time aside to be able to sit down each week and kind of brain dump things that have happened in the week, document things that have happened, and kind of take you along on a bit of the journey of my life, or even just have something interesting to look back on and just be like, oh my gosh, wow, you were thinking that, and you were saying that, and you were doing that. I just thought it would be something fun and something different, and I just want to keep it fresh, keep it new, you know. First random thing that's on the top of my head is podcast setup. Now, for the last couple of years, I've been rocking the same setup pretty much, besides the first episode with Mac Duo, which was an absolute nightmare, and we had to re-record because the gear was so poor and the quality was terrible. Besides that, I've rocked the Rode NT USB mics. Long story short, we've got 3 of these bad boys in the studio here. I'm thinking about jumping ship to another portable unit. I don't want to bore you with it, but it just may mean that we're going to be hitting up more interviews on the fly, and I can just rock up, plug things in, hit record. Oh my god, can the dogs in this neighbourhood not be going off? Plug in, hit record, and just go for it. And just rip into it. Where at the moment it's like there are arms flying around everywhere. I need my computer, I need hard drives, I need all of that stuff. And it's just it's a bit in the way. So if you're looking to start your own podcast and you're listening to this one and you're like, ooh, Dave's voice is sounding very smooth, and you want to jump in and do your own thing, then flick me a DM on @Quality Antics Podcast, and flick me an offer for 3 mics. We've got 3 mics, 2 of these little boomy things, but I'll get into the details if you're interested. But that's the first thing that has been fresh off the top of my head. It's like, ooh, what podcast setup should I get if I do want to change? What are the benefits? What are the negatives with that setup? All of those things. But I'm like a spendy guy. I like to buy new things. I like to have new toys. But I've been watching a few videos, and even this is pretty much the setup that I want to go for, is like pretty much what Tim Ferriss uses for his stuff. But one of the things I noticed with his setup is he gets his whoever he's talking with to hold the mic, and he'll quite often hold the mics for like 2-3 hour interviews. I'm like, that would be dusty. It seems uncomfortable. It's so nice to be like, hey, and not have to hold a mic for the whole time. So I may have to look into getting stands and whatnot, but you know, it's just something that's going on in the backgrounds. But I'm also recording video because I just want to mix it up, just want to play with it and have something that I can chuck out on the YouTube, maybe even just on our Instagram, something fresh, something different. And as we have some people to interview, it'll just be a bit of fun. in terms of work, life, everything else that's going on, next thing on the top of my head is the Buskers Festival, aka Bread and Circus. That's kicking off in a couple of weeks, and I am involved heavily in that, just creating a bunch of content. So just filming and making little micro clips, little mini clips, little stories, little teasers for things that are going on. It's exciting, it's fun, because like the buskers are like a good time. Yeah, and that's coming up in a couple of weeks, so that's something that I'm kind of preparing for and emailing back and forth and doing all that stuff, which is pretty cool. Another thing, I'll just grab a prop, hold on. Here she is. Another thing that's happening in a couple of days, this weekend, I have my friends Tom and Jane, their wedding. Now, they hit me up a while back and said, hey, we like your photos on Instagram? And I have never, maybe somewhere, but accidentally, I've never really claimed that I'm a photographer. I love doing the video thing, and I'm pretty confident with all the video stuff. But photos, I'm like, yeah, I don't know, it's another kettle of fish. I do like taking photos, but wedding photography, that's like neck level. So they pitched it to me. They're like, look, real low key, real chill. Let's get into it. And I stupidly said yes. Now we're 2 days away, and I'm like Googling wedding photography, watching videos, and I'm like, nervous. But the more I watch, the more I'm like, I got this. Like, it'll be okay. But it's just like, take a gazillion photos, don't screw up your exposure and everything, but just like, yeah, be confident with what you're doing. And Tom and Jane are real chill, but they've also got a few ideas up their sleeve of what they want to do. So I'm semi-excited about that, because just going rogue and not knowing the couple would be pretty stressful, but I know them well, so we can just kind of, and they know it's my first time, and I'm just doing it for them, so fingers crossed that goes well. I am playing with this like flash, like on-camera flash, because I'm taking photos till like 10 o'clock at night, and these cameras that I use, they're great. They're great at a million things. They are not good at low-light photography, so I'm like, okay. I picked up a flash probably a couple months ago, maybe, or a month or so ago, and have never touched it. But I knew that I wanted to use it for this wedding, so I've watched a few videos, I've experimented, and now fingers crossed, I'm going to rip into it. Fingers crossed, like it's going to be sweet, and I might do a few experiments tonight. But she's a whole kettle of fish there. It's a wild, wild world out there. A few other things that are going on. I just had a good chat with my friend Ben from Benny's Barbershop. He's cruising at the moment in Bali, and I've got a shoot with him next week with Harrington's Brewery. They're doing something for the beer festival that is coming to Christchurch very, very soon. I just realised I'm being recorded again, and I'm probably doing weird hand thingamabobs, but yeah, he's got something teed up with them next week, which should be a doozy as well. Other than that, there are a few projects from 2019 that I'm tidying up and just liaising, but those clients aren't in too much of a rush, so it's just finding time for that. And obviously I'm also working at Plastics for Fitness, the gym that I work and train at, and doing a bunch of things with them. Yeah, one thing that came up this week with them was a podcast. We had a bit of a meeting, and they mentioned, we should probably start a podcast. And that's why this whole new gear setup thing kind of got started, because I was talking to them about what setup we should use, and they want to travel. They want to hit up Australia and go to a competition and be like, right, this person, they've just finished, they want to have a chat with us. Brilliant, let's set up, let's do a wee mini podcast, maybe 10-20 minute chat. And they want to be able to like just do it on the go. And the setup that I've got at the moment, I wouldn't recommend for that, because it's just so big and clunky. So it's figuring out an alternative. That got me thinking, like, well, if we have one amazing setup, then why don't I just use it? So I don't know. Long story short, the mention of buying stuff, I'm like, ooh, sounds interesting, let's do it. Another purchasing thing that's also popped up, which could cost me a fair wee bit, is a lads trip that's been mentioned. And some of the lads, Jock and Beans, the other boys that are on this podcast, have said, hey, we're going to go to Canada 2021, we're going to head up Canada. And Beans is newly engaged, and he said it's going to be the stag do, so you technically need to be there. And what a great excuse. I mentioned it to my wife. She said, you should definitely do it. You should definitely go. And I thought, hold on a minute, like, let's do this. But they are going to be skiing / snowboarding for like the majority of the trip. And I've been snowboarding probably 3 to 4 times. And like, I'm not dusty, but okay, yeah, I'm definitely not amazing. So let's just call me dusty. Like, sure, I can go down the hill, I can cruise around a little bit, but I'm like not super confident at like ripping down these like crazy challenging runs. So they were like, well, you've got a whole season this year to get good, buy a Mount Hart pass, get all the gear, and pretty much go for it. And with this freelancer life that I'm living at the moment, it's like working the hours that suit and booking things that suit, and so making kind of things work for me. I'm like, well, actually, in winter, if it's a nice day on a Tuesday, I could go with Beans up the hill and just do that all the time. I don't know if I'll commit to it, but it's an interesting thing to consider. I'm like, sounds fun. Sounds like Canada. Everyone froths about Canada, about how amazing it is. So it'll be interesting to see if that all goes ahead. But I'm planting the seed now, so you, the listeners, /viewers, can say, hey, how's the Canada trip planning going? And midway through the year, if I'm like not even talking about snowboarding, you'll be like, he phased out. So you need to give me a bit of grief. But I'm keen. I think it'd be snowboarding's challenging, but it's like fun. It's a freaking workout. By the end of the day, you're like so drained. So that should be good. Other than that, it has just been a standard week of working, doing a bit of training, walking the dog, and Netflix is literally kind of the life cycle. And I watched a few good shows lately. Just YOU is the name of the show. Season 2. This is my Netflix recommendation of the week. This is the thing that I'm introducing right now, but it's good. It's a buzzy show. Season 2, we watched. Season 1 or 2 is good. It's got the guy from, what's it called? The girly show XOXO Gossip Girl. It's got the guy from Gossip Girl. He smashes it. He's a creepy guy. He's a boss. He does it really well. And if you have not checked that out, highly recommend. The other song that is absolutely stuck in my head, and it's literally just today. I've heard it before, but I was like, what is this? And then now actually just did a little edit to it on my Instagram for the gym and just put it up today on their story just for a bit of fun. And it is called German by a company, what am I saying? I said company because their name is No Money Enterprise. A song called German. It is by a group called No Money Enterprise. It's kind of just like, yeah, you'll have to listen to it. I could play it here. Let's just give that a try. You get the idea. It's an interesting track, but it's something fresh, something different. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that one. That is all for this inaugural 2020 episode of Hasn't Got a Cool Catchy Name Yet, but let's just keep the ball rolling and put this bad boy out there. The plan of attack is to release one of these every Monday morning, so maybe you're jumping in your car for your Monday drive, chuck this puppy on, but as you can tell, this is going to come out on a Friday, so I'm going to do, this one's coming out on the Friday, don't give me grief about it, and then next week we're going to kick into a routine. Every Sunday I'll sit down, smash one of these out, be a bit more organised. I literally brainstormed a few things that I just wanted to talk about, that I wanted to bring up on this little weekly show, whatever it is called, but I left that book at the gym, so apologies. Yeah, I'll keep it short and keep it sweet, because man, I talked for 45 minutes the other day about my Europe trip for a podcast that's coming up in a week. I was like, wow, time just flew. So we are like at the 13 to 14 minute mark, and I'm just going to leave it there. Hopefully you're on your way, or you're pulling up at work, or you are just finishing up in the loo. I don't know where you listen to these bad boys, but hopefully you're enjoying your day. Take care. Cheers. See you next time. Peace.
Oh, pull up in the German. Your crew look nervous. You're going from the circus. You will never ever make no.